Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm sharing a Christmas card using the Christmas penguins from Rachelle Anne Miller. First of all, I wanted to show you this complete set because you get all of these images when you purchase the Christmas penguins. And they are all really cute, but today I will only be featuring 2 of them. I colored in 3 images, but in the end I decided to not use the star that I will be coloring in right after this. So I am going to use 2 of the penguins, which are truly so adorable, but as you can see there are so many more images. And I also did some fussy cutting, which wasn't as easy, and I really like those swirly lines from the Rachelle Anne Miller images, so I did my best, I took my time, and it was a really long fussy cut for me because I'm totally not an expert in that. But if you want to, we have to go for it. So I really wanted to use these penguins and I hope to be making more cards with them. But for today, only these 2. Now for the coloring of the penguins, I am going from darkest to lightest as I'm always doing. And I decided to go with some cold grays today to keep it also really soft and light. You can go way darker if you want to, but I wanted to have some soft and fluffy penguins colored in for this card. I also prefer adding 2 layers at least because I personally find that gives me the best blend that I could probably have, and if I need more I can add more layers if I want to. These images were printed onto Transotype perfect coloring paper. These are digital stamps, which means that you need to print them. They aren't clear, they aren't physically in your craft room, they're just on your laptop or your PC. And I printed them using a laser printer. Now, if you're like me and you were a bit doubtful about being able to use these digital stamps, then I would definitely suggest to try it out first. Before I got this laser printer, I had an inkjet and that worked perfectly as well with my Copics. I cannot say anything about watercoloring because I didn't try it out and then my printer died on me, so that was unfortunately. But then I ordered a laser printer to be sure. But definitely try out whether it works with the printer that you currently own before thinking that you need another, maybe more expensive printer. What is lovely as well is that Rachelle Anne Miller also offers a free digital stamp. So if you like your images and you want to try your printer, then try printing with your printer that free digital stamp, which is an adorable giraffe, and I truly love it. It was also the first image that I tried to color. It worked out, I loved it, and then I ruined the background so it never got onto my YouTube channel. But if I find some time, I don't know when, but if I find some time, I will definitely try to color it in. It's so cute, you will love it too. So here I advanced quite well on the coloring already, and as you can see, it's quite simple. The sizes of the images that you see right now is also when you add the complete package of all the images without changing the size of it. So this is the intended size of the set. Now, the lovely thing about digital stamps is that you can enlarge the images that you want to use if you have a program or if you're good at Word or all those other digital things or programs. Then you can change up size, you can add the things all together in the placement that you want to have it for your card, and you can go really crazy with placement and stuff like that. Now, as I tend to keep everything always simple, I tend to most of the time have just 1 image and just let it shine. Here I have 2, well, in the beginning I had 3. Now I have a basic rectangle, sort of A2 sized panel here, and I'm going to use my favorite stencil, as you know, the watercolor wash for my favorite things. So I'm going to do some stenciling, and I will be using distress inks. I decided to go with a red theme because I had the same sort of red on my images, so I tried to mimic that with my distress inks and have a gradient having that aged mahogany on the outside of my freeform here and then the candied apple on the inside. Now my stencil actually moved a little bit while going crazy during the ink blending, but I don't mind. In the end, it's really subtle, and well, this is a free form, so I think you have a lot of room to maybe make mistakes and then fix them, or make mistakes and leave them as they are. It doesn't bother me at all, and normally I'm quite, well, I'm never completely happy when something shifts out of the blue or anything like that, but in this case I really didn't mind. I also think that it can go a bit, if you would, well, let me rephrase. If you would use this stencil and then shift it slightly, just like 1 millimeter, I think it would be a lovely addition actually to have like a slight shadow in this stencil. Now I decided to add some white splatters, so I used my white gouache. This one is from Winsor and Newton, and I just splattered it all around. Personally, if you want that white splatter and you have the issue that after a while the color is coming through, then I would really suggest to add less water. Of course, the more water, normally you can have thicker splatters, which makes it interesting if you have a variety of all sorts. But just make sure that you don't add too much. The moment that it is liquid enough to splatter, I always try to stop there. But with my second go here, you saw me adding more water because I wanted some thicker splatters as well. So once that was dry, I took this panel and I took the Sending Christmas Joy that you can see here, and I die cut it out of my panel. The idea was to have it inlaid again, but playing a little bit with dimensions. So I cut it out of this panel and then I cut it out twice of white paper just, and for the joy I used it twice, so I had 3 layers, and then the white paper was used only once for the Sending Christmas, so there I have 2 layers. So it was all about adding this panel on top of my card base and then starting to inlay everything. I also kept those inside pieces of my red version of the letters. This way it is completely the wash that we created previously, but also in the end result, although there are words in it. So here you can see it. I filled that O using that inner piece, and the same for the A, the D, and the R. And then once I layered everything on top, I could start assembling my images on top of this card as well. Personally, I find that inlaying things is so much fun to do. I think it's really satisfying. Everything fits. It's like a puzzle, and it's really a lot of fun. Now, since I wanted the joy to stand out more, that's why I decided to add the white version 2 times underneath my colored version, and the Sending Christmas, it was less important personally, but you can add as many layers if you want to. You can also first layer your letters on top of each other before inlaying it, but I just went for it this way. But you do you do what you feel comfortable with. And then it was all about assembling my words inside of this wash, and I just love it. I love how it looks. It is really subtle, personally I find it, and it's not that handy to represent in a picture, but the recipients will definitely see the dimension, and I just love it. So I definitely went for it, just adding the liquid glue, trying to not go off the letters, because of course you're already on your panel and your end result, but it's only liquid glue, you know. So I took my time and I had fun puzzling this sentiment together. And then for the images, as you can see, I first had 3. with the star, but I tried it out and I just couldn't find the perfect placement for the star, so I ended up not using it. It didn't feel right, but then later on I will be adding some embellishments which I originally not intended to do, but it was the right choice, I thought, since the star wasn't on there. So for the height of my images, I wanted them to be in front of the joy or on top of the joy, and therefore I needed a bit of dimension since the joy was 3 layers. So I found that the thin foam squares were perfect for that, and then where I had an overlap I used some liquid glue. And this little one, at first I wanted it to be right aside the Y, but then when I laid it out I preferred it being in between the O and the Y. So that's why I added it over there, thin foam squares wherever I could, and then liquid glue where it was overlapping. So again, I tried the star and I don't know why it didn't feel right. You can definitely use it if you want to. I just kept it aside for now and I will see whether I can use it in another card. Now for the embellishments, I decided to use the Moonstones from Little Things from Lucy's cards. These are like these bubbles, but they have like a white gouache sort of feel, and I just loved it in combination with my white splatters that I had going on. So once I laid that out and I was happy with placement, I adhered them using some more liquid glue. This card really was built with liquid glue. So I fiddled a bit. I didn't want to overdo it neither, but as you know, embellishments are really hard to place right. But I went for it, adding everything, and then this card is completely finished. I had a lot of fun creating it and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, you can leave them down below in the comments. I will get back to you. I want to thank you all and wish you an incredible day, and I'll be back soon. Bye!